How can my account be overdrawn? That's absurd, I said, feigning shock as Brandon's sister vented about the rent money he'd promised her. I kept my tone even, letting her think I was just discovering my husband's deception. My name is Isla Thompson, and my husband Brandon just made the biggest mistake of his life, though not in the way he expects. That Sunday morning, waking to an empty bed and a harsh note on the fridge felt like a punch, even though I'd anticipated it. Goodbye. I never loved you anyway. Real smooth, Brandon. I'm a forensic accountant in Milwaukee, and for 15 years, I've tracked financial fraud for major Midwest corporations. So when Brandon started showing signs of plotting his big getaway 3 months ago, he wasn't exactly outsmarting a novice. The first clue was his sudden curiosity about our retirement accounts, after years of leaving finances to me. Then came the secretive calls, unexplained absences, and quickly switching his computer screen when I entered the room. Textbook signs of someone preparing to flee. I'd seen it all in my work. What Brandon didn't know was that every shady transaction, hidden purchase, and attempt to siphon our money was caught, documented, photographed, and sent to my lawyer. By the time he left that cruel note, thinking he'd executed the perfect escape, I'd already secured our savings, flagged our accounts, and prepared for every move he might make. So when fraud alerts flooded my phone that Monday morning, I couldn't help but grin. Brandon thought he was outwitting me, but he was walking right into my trap. My phone buzzed with notifications. Declined transactions, failed withdrawals, frozen accounts, each one a sweet symphony. My hand grazed a just-in-case folder on my desk, packed with months of evidence that would not only ruin his plan but his entire future. As I listened to his sister's frantic voice, I almost pitied him. Almost. You might assume I was crushed learning my husband of 8 years never loved me, but as a forensic accountant, I spot patterns. People think they're sly when hiding things, but money always leaves a trail, and Brandon's was littered with clues. I met Brandon at a charity gala 6 years ago. He was charismatic, seemingly successful, and appeared to have his act together. As an investment advisor, he drove a fancy car and spoke of a shared future. His confidence and ambition impressed me. Looking back, I should have noticed how he dodged questions about his clients and was vague about his past. The first 3 years seemed great, or so I thought. We bought a lovely suburban Milwaukee home, planned exotic trips, and discussed starting a family. But small inconsistencies nagged at me, his defensiveness about his student loans, his quick subject changes when I mentioned meeting his old colleagues. "You don't trust me," he'd say, flipping it on me. "Why must you know everything? Can't I handle my own finances?" Classic manipulation, straight out of my fraud case playbook, using emotions to dodge financial transparency. I let it slide, wanting to believe in our marriage and him. That was my first error. Then came undeniable signs. Last Christmas, he pushed for separate holiday spending accounts, claiming it'd be more romantic to surprise each other. But I found credit card statements he thought he'd hidden, showing purchases at upscale jewelry stores, jewelry I never saw. His weekend business trips didn't match any conferences I could verify, and mysterious calls went straight to voicemail when I was near. Most wives would have confronted him immediately, but I'm not most wives. Instead, I pulled bank statements, tracked transactions, and built a case. Every time he thought he was covering his tracks, he gave me more evidence. I watched him try to drain our accounts, believing I was clueless. "Working late again?" he'd ask, faking concern as I sat at my computer. "Just catching up on cases." I'd reply, not mentioning his was the case. The turning point came 3 weeks ago. I was working late, actually late, when my colleague Susan rushed to my desk, pale, clutching her phone. "Isla, you need to see this," she said, voice trembling. I was reviewing the Thompson case files and found something about Brandon. My stomach sank as I saw her screen. Brandon's name appeared in suspicious transactions we were investigating, not as a witness or victim, but a person of interest. The patterns in our personal accounts mirrored his professional dealings. He wasn't just planning to leave me, he was fleeing something bigger. "There's more," Susan whispered, scrolling through documents. "He's named in 3 other fraud investigations, different states, different names, same MO. He marries successful women, then vanishes with their money. The last was in Phoenix, just before Milwaukee. The pieces clicked. His charm, secrecy, sudden financial interest, all part of a scheme. I wasn't his wife, I was his next mark. And he didn't know his mark specialized in catching people like him. That night, I sat in our kitchen until dawn, re-examining everything. His loving husband act, subtle isolation from friends and family, careful manipulation, it was clear now. I laughed, not from humor but from the irony. He'd chosen the wrong woman to scam. For 3 weeks I prepared. Mornings, I'd kiss him goodbye like nothing was wrong. Nights, I'd listen to his work lies while documenting every suspicious transaction. I moved our savings, contacted the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, and gathered evidence to protect myself and help his prior victims. "You seem different lately," he said one night, studying me. "Everything okay?" I smiled, thinking of the trap I'd set. "Just tired from work," I replied. "You know how it gets." He nodded, likely thinking I was earning more for him to steal. If he'd paid attention, he might have seen the glint in my eye, signaling I knew his plan. But con men like Brandon never expect to be outplayed. They thrive on betrayal, never anticipating they'll be the ones caught. The morning after Brandon vanished, his plan unfolded as he'd hoped. The first call was from our bank. Unusual activity, multiple withdrawal attempts, maxed out credit cards. The second was from his sister, Kelly, hysterical about borrowed money. The third was from Rachel Clark in Phoenix, asking if I knew where her husband was. Her husband? The words hit like ice water. I gripped my phone tighter, sitting at my kitchen table. "Brandon Murphy's still legally my husband," Rachel said, voice taut with anger. "He disappeared with my savings 3 years ago. I've been tracking him." I smiled despite myself. "Here, he's Brandon Thompson. You won't believe this, but I was expecting your call." Over the next hour, Rachel and I compared stories. Same charming smile, same investment advisor tale, same slow account draining. But this time I was different. "I've got enough evidence to take him down," I told her. "But I need your help to catch him." Then my phone buzzed with Brandon's text. "I'm sorry. Can we talk one last time?" Perfect. He was following the pattern from Rachel's case, reaching out post-disappearance to manipulate access to remaining funds. I showed the text to my lawyer, who was readying our counterstrike. "Let's set the trap," she said, eyes gleaming. I agreed to meet Brandon at a downtown coffee shop. He was there looking suitably contrite, eyes red, clothes disheveled, a perfect image of regret. I'm so sorry," he began, reaching for my hand. "I've been struggling with bad investments." I panicked. I pulled my hand back, playing along. "How much trouble are you in, Brandon?" His eyes flickered with hope. He thought I was buying it. "About $200,000, but I have a plan. I just need access to our emergency fund." I pretended to think it over, watching him squirm. "The emergency fund? The one you tried to empty yesterday?" His face faltered briefly before recovering. "That was a mistake. I wasn't thinking clearly. But if you help me now, I promise." "Promise what?" "To vanish again, or drain my accounts like you did to Rachel in Phoenix." His face went pale. For the first time, Brandon Thompson, or Murphy, or whatever his name was, looked truly stunned. "Here's the thing," I continued, sliding a folder across the table. "If you'd done your homework, you'd know stealing from a forensic accountant was a bad move." Just then, 2 FBI agents approached. I stood, adjusting my jacket. "Oh, and Brandon, get a good lawyer." As Brandon was led away, my phone rang. Susan, with perfect timing. "We've got him," she said, triumphant. "The team analyzed those offshore accounts you flagged. Brandon's not just running a marriage scam, he's behind a multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme." I watched through the coffee shop window as Brandon was loaded into a federal vehicle, looking diminished, nothing like the confident man who thought he'd outsmarted me. "How many victims?" I asked, knowing the answer would be grim. 23 so far, across 5 states, 12 marriages, all to successful women in finance. But here's the kicker. He was planning to use your credentials and reputation to lure high-net-worth clients for a new investment firm. I thought of his late-night questions about my cases, his sudden interest in my work. He wasn't supportive. He was scheming to exploit my reputation for his biggest con yet. "The irony," I said, "is if he hadn't gotten greedy, he might have escaped again. But he had to go bigger." "There's more," Susan added. "That country club membership he insisted on last year? He was using it to target Caroline Mitchell, the hedge fund manager, already laying groundwork for his next disappearance. I recalled his Sunday golf games, late-night networking events, while playing devoted husband at home. But Caroline, one of my closest friends, had been helping me document Brandon's moves for months. "Let me guess," I said. "Caroline gave you their private emails, texts, and recorded lounge conversations. He handed us his entire operation while trying to charm her." "Exactly," Susan said. "He practically wrote our case." I laughed. Brandon had spent months planning his exit, thinking he was the smartest in the room, while everyone he thought he was manipulating was building a case against him. "What about his sister Kelly?" I asked, recalling her frantic call. "Not his sister," Susan replied. "An accomplice. They've run the scam for years. She plays the desperate sister to justify urgent loans before he vanishes. She's being arrested in Chicago now." I leaned back, taking it in. Brandon's deception was vast, but his blindness was staggering. He was so focused on his lies that he never noticed the trap closing. "One more thing," Susan said. "His real name's Brandon Roberts, wanted for fraud in Canada since 2015. I smiled, thinking of the case file on my desk. "Well, Brandon Roberts, welcome to your worst nightmare." As I headed to the office, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You think you're clever, but you don't know what's coming. Check your email." The email contained photos of me with family, my routines, even shots through my home windows. A chill hit me, not fear, but anger. Brandon had hired someone to watch me. I forwarded everything to Susan and my lawyer, then called Agent Morrison, leading Brandon's case. "We've got another player," I said. "Already on it," she replied. The photos came from an IP address we're monitoring. James Foster, Brandon's former cellmate from Phoenix. He's been his muscle, threatening victims who get too close. I thought of Rachel Clark, wondering if this explained her delay in coming forward. "Where is he now?" "That's the thing. We can't locate him, but—" Morrison paused. "Hold on. There's movement on one of Brandon's frozen accounts. Someone's accessing it from your house." My house, where I'd left my laptop open. I called Rachel immediately. "Is everything okay?" "We have a situation," she whispered. "Kelly's here. She must have a key. She's trying to access Brandon's accounts from your computer." Kelly, the sister, supposedly in custody. My mind raced. Either she'd escaped, or, "Rachel, get out now. Kelly's not alone." A crash came through the phone, then Rachel's sharp breath. "Too late. Foster's here." My heart pounded, but I stayed focused. This was the desperate move I'd expected. "Rachel, remember our plan. It's time." Through the phone, I heard Rachel's steady voice. "Hey, Kelly, before you do anything stupid, check the screen." I smiled, knowing they were seeing every file, account, and piece of evidence live-streamed to the FBI servers, with my house under surveillance and agents nearby. "It's over," Rachel said. "Look outside." Sirens filled the background as FBI agents swarmed my house. Within minutes, Kelly and Foster were in custody, and Rachel was safe. I drove home to find Agent Morrison waiting. "Quite a performance," she said. "You knew they'd try this. Desperate people like Brandon, Kelly, and Foster can't handle losing control," I replied. "I just gave them one last chance to think they'd won. With this break-in and threats, we can add witness intimidation and conspiracy charges," Morrison said, smiling. "Your trap worked perfectly." I looked at my house, now a crime scene. Brandon, in his cell, probably still thought he could talk his way out. He didn't know his final desperate move had sealed his fate, ensuring he'd never scam again. 2 months later, I sat in the courtroom as Brandon's world collapsed. Gone was his confident smirk, replaced by defeat as the judge read his sentence. Brandon Roberts, for multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, conspiracy, and witness intimidation, this court sentences you to 25 years in federal prison. I caught his eye as he was led away. For a moment, his mask fell, revealing panic. The man who wrote, "Never loved you anyway," now faced a future where love was irrelevant. Kelly and Foster fared little better, taking plea deals but still facing significant time. Their agreements exposed Brandon's network across 3 countries. Rachel sat beside me, squeezing my hand as Brandon's victims, my unexpected sisters in survival, shared their impact statements. Each told a similar tale of betrayal, but ended with triumph. We'd reclaimed our power. After the sentencing, Agent Morrison approached. The Bureau could use your skills. Ever considered consulting for us? I thought of all the Brandons out there, thinking they're untouchable. I think I'd like that, I said. Walking out into Milwaukee's bright sunshine, I felt lighter than in years. Brandon thought he'd broken me, but he'd made me stronger with a new mission, ensuring he was the last con man to underestimate a woman with a knack for numbers and a mind for justice. 6 months later, I stood at a podium in the FBI's Financial Crimes Division in Milwaukee, presenting what they called the Thompson case, though neither was my name anymore. I'd reclaimed my maiden name, severing ties with Brandon's aliases. Modern con artists don't use guns, I told a room of agents and analysts. They use trust, manipulation, and technology. But they leave trails. You just need to know where to look. The program I developed with the FBI was yielding results. 3 major romance scam rings busted in a month. Rachel, now a key consultant, helped us understand how predators select targets. After the presentation, Susan texted. Another victim, in Vancouver, had lost everything. House, savings, business. But we could help her recover, as our team cracked Brandon's encrypted files, revealing hidden global accounts. I thought of that Sunday morning, his cruel note, meant to shatter me. Instead, it gave me purpose, to help others fight back. My new Lake Michigan apartment balcony was my sanctuary. That evening, I smiled at the irony. Brandon spent his life stealing from strong women, but he created a powerful network of survivors turned warriors, dedicated to stopping men like him. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't surviving, it's thriving.